The base gate was crowded. Friday night. Soldiers streaming out for weekend leave, heading into town for the first time in weeks. The air smelled like dust and diesel and freedom. Voices called out. Laughter echoed off the concrete barriers. Everyone was ready to forget about the war for 48 hours. Lieutenant Maya Torres walked through the crowd alone. She was heading to meet some friends at a restaurant 2 blocks from the base. Nothing fancy. Just dinner and conversation with people who wouldn't spend the entire meal talking about missions and kill counts. She wore civilian clothes, jeans and a black t-shirt. No rank, no uniform, just another woman in a crowd. She didn't see him coming until it was too late. A hand grabbed her collar from behind. Fingers twisted in the fabric, yanking her backward. She stumbled. A voice growled in her ear, hot breath reeking of alcohol. "Hey, sweetheart, where you think you're going?" Before we continue, hit that subscribe button right now and stay with this story all the way to the end. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story reaches. The man holding her was big. 6'2", maybe 220, drunk, angry about something. Maya could feel it in the way his fingers dug into her collar, the way his body swayed slightly. He wasn't thinking, just reacting, looking for a target. "Let go," Maya said quietly. Her voice was calm. No fear, no anger, just a statement of fact. The man laughed. His friends were behind him. 3 more, all drunk, all looking for entertainment. One of them was recording on his phone. "Let go?" the man repeated, mocking her tone. "Or what? You gonna cry? You gonna call for help?" Maya didn't answer. She was calculating. Distance, angles. How many people were watching, how fast his friends would react, how much damage she needed to do to end this without anyone getting seriously hurt. "I'm talking to you," the man said. He yanked harder on her collar, pulling her closer. "You think you're too good to—" Maya moved. Her left hand came up and grabbed his wrist. Her right hand struck his elbow. Pressure point, leverage, physics. His grip released instantly, fingers going slack as pain shot through his arm. Before he could react, she twisted, rotated his arm, stepped behind him, used his own momentum against him. 2 seconds. That's all it took. The man went down hard, face first into the gravel. Maya controlled the descent, keeping his arm locked, her knee in his back. Professional, efficient, no wasted movement. The crowd went silent. The man's friends stood frozen, mouths open. The one recording lowered his phone. No one moved. Maya stayed calm. Her voice was still quiet when she spoke. "I asked you to let go." The man under her knee tried to struggle. She applied pressure, not enough to break anything, just enough to make the point clear. "Stop moving." He stopped. Maya looked up at the 3 friends. They were staring at her like she'd just materialized out of nowhere. "You want to help your friend?" she asked. "Call him a cab. Get him back to barracks. Make sure he sleeps it off." One of them found his voice. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who doesn't want trouble. But I'll finish what I start if I have to." Military police arrived 30 seconds later. They'd been stationed near the gate, watching the weekend exodus. They'd seen the whole thing. "Ma'am," one of them said. "You okay?" Maya released the drunk man's arm and stood up. "I'm fine. He grabbed me. I defended myself." The MP looked at the man on the ground, then at Maya. Recognition flickered in his eyes. "Lieutenant Torres?" "Yes." The MP's expression changed. He turned to the drunk man's friends. "Get him up. Get him out of here. And consider yourselves lucky the lieutenant is feeling generous." The friends scrambled to help their buddy up. He was cradling his arm, his face red with humiliation and pain. He looked at Maya like he was trying to figure out what had just happened. "You're lucky," one of the MPs said to him. "That woman you just grabbed? She's Special Forces, hand-to-hand combat instructor. You grabbed the wrong person." The drunk man's eyes went wide. Then he stumbled away, supported by his friends, disappearing into the crowd. Maya Torres was 29 years old. She'd been in the Army for 7 years, Special Forces for 3. She'd served 2 deployments in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq. She'd earned her hand-to-hand combat instructor certification at Fort Benning and had been teaching close-quarters combat to elite units for 18 months. She could disarm a knife attack in under 2 seconds, could incapacitate an armed opponent twice her size without breaking a sweat, could kill with her bare hands if she had to. But she didn't advertise any of that, didn't wear it like a badge, just went about her business, did her job, and hoped people would leave her alone. They rarely did. What the drunk man didn't know, what his friends didn't know, was that Maya had grown up in East Los Angeles. She'd learned to fight before she learned to drive. 3 older brothers, a neighborhood where showing weakness meant becoming a target. She'd taken her first punch at age 8 and given one back twice as hard. By the time she was 16, she'd won 3 amateur boxing tournaments and earned a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The Army had just refined what the streets had started. After the Kerry MPs cleared her to go, Maya continued toward the restaurant. Her hands were steady, her breathing was normal. The adrenaline dump that came with physical confrontation had barely registered. She'd been through worse on Tuesday mornings during training. The restaurant was quiet. Her friends were already there. 2 other female officers, both pilots. They waved when she walked in. "You're late," Captain Jessica Reed said, smiling. "Traffic?" Maya sat down. "Something like that." They ordered food, talked about normal things, movies, books, the complete incompetence of the base quartermaster. Anything except work. Except deployments. Except the things that lived in the quiet hours when sleep wouldn't come. Halfway through dinner, Maya's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Lieutenant Torres, this is Sergeant First Class Rivera. I was at the gate tonight. Saw what happened. Just wanted to say thank you. That guy has been a problem for weeks. Drunk, aggressive. Nobody's been able to touch him because his uncle is a colonel. You just did what a dozen people have wanted to do. Respect." Maya deleted the text without responding. Jessica noticed. "Everything okay?" "Fine, just work stuff." But word was already spreading. That's how military bases worked. Small communities, gossip traveled faster than radio waves. By the time Maya got back to her quarters that night, 3 people had stopped her to ask if she was okay. 2 had asked if the story they'd heard was true. 1 had asked if she could teach his girlfriend some self-defense moves. Maya deflected all of it, went to her room, locked the door, sat on her bed in the dark. She didn't want to be famous for dropping some drunk idiot outside the gate. Didn't want to be the story people told over beers. She just wanted to do her job. Train soldiers, stay sharp, stay ready, stay invisible. But invisibility wasn't an option. Not for a woman in Special Forces. Not when every move you made was scrutinized, every mistake magnified, every success treated like an anomaly instead of competence. The next morning, Maya had a training session scheduled. Hand-to-hand combat. 20 soldiers, all male, all expecting to learn from the legend they'd heard about. She walked into the training hall at 0600 exactly. The soldiers were already there, lined up, waiting. She could see it in their faces, the mixture of curiosity and skepticism. They'd heard the story. Now they wanted to see if it was true. "Good morning," Maya said. Her voice was calm, professional. We're going to cover close quarters defense today. Specifically, what to do when someone grabs you from behind. A hand went up. A young private, baby-faced, probably fresh out of basic. Ma'am, is it true you dropped a guy twice your size last night in under 2 seconds? Maya looked at him. Is that relevant to your training, Private? No, ma'am, just curious. Then let's focus on what is relevant. Partner up. We're starting with wrist releases. The session went smoothly. Maya demonstrated techniques, corrected form, answered questions. The soldiers were attentive, respectful. By the end of the hour, they'd learned how to escape from 6 different types of grabs and holds. As they were filing out, one of the older sergeants approached her. Sergeant Miller, 15 years in, combat veteran, respected by everyone in the unit. Ma'am, he said quietly, can I ask you something? Go ahead. How do you stay so calm when someone grabs you like that? When you're outnumbered? How do you not panic? Maya thought about the question. It wasn't the first time someone had asked. Probably wouldn't be the last. Training, she said. Repetition. I've been grabbed 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways. I've practiced the response until it's muscle memory. When it happens for real, my body just does what it's trained to do. No thought required. Miller nodded. That makes sense, but there's something else, isn't there? Something beyond just training. Maya met his eyes. You want the real answer? Yes, ma'am. I stay calm because panic gets you killed. Fear makes you stupid. Anger makes you reckless. The only thing that keeps you alive is clarity. Clear mind, clear assessment, clear action. Everything else is noise. Miller was quiet for a moment. Where'd you learn that? The streets. Before the army ever found me. He nodded slowly. Thank you, ma'am. That's the realest thing anyone's told me in a while. He left. Maya stood alone in the empty training hall. Sweat cooled on her skin. The mat smelled like rubber and effort. Somewhere outside, she could hear soldiers running in formation, their cadence echoing across the base. She thought about the drunk man from the night before. Wondered if he remembered what happened. Wondered if he'd learned anything. Probably not. Men like that rarely did. They'd blame the alcohol, blame bad luck, blame everything except their own choices. But that wasn't her problem. Her job was to be ready, to stay sharp, to make sure that when someone grabbed her, when someone underestimated her, when someone thought she was an easy target, she could prove them wrong in the most efficient way possible. 3 days later, Maya was called to her commanding officer's office. Colonel Sarah Chen, a hard woman with kind eyes and a reputation for fairness. Sit down, Lieutenant, Chen said. Maya sat. Chen pulled out a folder. I've received a complaint from a Captain Davis. Says you assaulted his nephew outside the base gate Friday night. Maya's expression didn't change. His nephew grabbed me from behind. I defended myself. Military police witnessed the entire incident and cleared me. Chen nodded. I know. I've read their report. I've also watched the cell phone video one of his friends posted online before they realized what a bad idea that was. She turned her laptop around. The video was already playing. Maya watched herself get grabbed, watched herself move, watched the drunk man hit the ground. The video ended. That, Chen said, is textbook self-defense. Controlled, proportional, professional. You could teach a class on it. Thank you, ma'am. Captain Davis doesn't see it that way. He says you humiliated his nephew, embarrassed him in front of his peers. He wants you reprimanded. Maya said nothing, just waited. Chen closed the laptop. I'm not reprimanding you. I'm commending you. You handled a volatile situation without excessive force, without escalation, without anyone getting seriously injured. That's exactly what we train soldiers to do. Yes, ma'am, but I need you to understand something, Lieutenant. You're going to deal with this for the rest of your career. Men who can't handle being outperformed by a woman. Men who think your presence in Special Forces is a political statement instead of earned qualification. Men who will look for any excuse to tear you down. Maya had heard this before. From her mother. From her first drill sergeant. From every female officer who'd come before her. I understand, ma'am. Do you? Chen leaned forward. Because it's not enough to be good, Lieutenant. You have to be perfect. Every mistake you make will be magnified. Every success will be dismissed as luck or affirmative action. You'll be held to a different standard, a higher one. And it's not fair. It's not right. But it's reality. I know. Chen studied her for a long moment. You remind me of myself 20 years ago. Same quiet confidence, same refusal to back down, same ability to handle yourself when things get physical. Did it get easier? Maya asked. Chen smiled. It was a tired smile. No, but you get stronger, and eventually, you stop caring what people think. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who've already made up their minds. You just do the work. Be the best version of yourself. And let the results speak. That's what I'm trying to do, ma'am. I know, and you're doing it well. Just remember that you're not alone. There are women throughout this organization who've walked this path, who understand what you're dealing with. Don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you, ma'am. Chen dismissed her. Maya walked back to her quarters. The sun was setting. The base was quieting down. Evening formation was over. Soldiers were heading to the mess hall or back to their rooms, the normal rhythm of military life. Maya's phone buzzed. Another text. This one from her younger sister back in Los Angeles. Just saw a video of you dropping some drunk guy. You're famous, Hermana. Mama is proud, also worried. Call her. Maya smiled, texted back. Will do. Love you. She thought about calling her mother right then, but it was late. The conversation would be long, full of concern and pride and warnings about staying safe. Maya would listen, would reassure, would promise to be careful even though they both knew she'd be in danger again soon. That was the job. That was the life she'd chosen. Instead, she changed into running gear and headed to the track. 3 miles, fast, pushing her body until her mind went quiet, until the only thing that existed was breath and heartbeat and the rhythm of feet hitting pavement. As she ran, she thought about the drunk man, about his friends, about the video, about Colonel Chen's words, about the reality that she'd be fighting this battle for the rest of her career. But she also thought about Sergeant Miller, about the respect in his eyes when she'd given him the real answer, about the soldiers in her training sessions who listened and learned and treated her like what she was. A professional, an expert, someone who'd earned her place through sweat and blood and refusal to quit. Those were the moments that mattered. Not the drunk idiots, not the skeptics, not the ones who'd already decided she didn't belong, but the ones who were willing to see past gender and rank and assumption. The ones who judged her on results, on competence, on the simple question of whether she could do the job. And she could. She'd proven it 1,000 times. would prove it 1,000 more. By the time Maya finished her run, the sky was dark. Stars were appearing. The base was quiet, except for the hum of generators and the distant sound of vehicles. She walked back to her quarters, showered, lay in bed, stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow there would be more training, more soldiers to teach, more people who'd heard the story and wanted to see if it was true, more skeptics, more believers, more tests she hadn't asked for but would pass anyway. But tonight, she was just tired, just human. Just a woman who defended herself and somehow become a symbol for something bigger than one moment outside a gate. She closed her eyes. Sleep came eventually. And with it, dreams of the streets where she'd learned that the world didn't owe you safety. That survival meant being ready, being strong, being willing to fight when fighting was the only option. She'd been ready Friday night, would be ready the next time, and the time after that, because that's what she did. That's who she was. Not because she was trying to prove anything, not because she wanted attention or recognition, but because she'd learned a long time ago that the only person you could count on to protect you was yourself. Everything else was just noise. Strength isn't about size or aggression or dominance. It's about control. The ability to assess a threat and respond with exactly the amount of force necessary. No more, no less. The drunk man outside the gate saw a woman and assumed weakness. He made the mistake of confusing quiet confidence with vulnerability. He learned the hard way that the most dangerous people are often the ones who don't need to advertise their capabilities. They just move through the world knowing what they can do, ready to act when necessary, but never seeking confrontation. That's real power. Not the loud kind that demands attention, but the quiet kind that ends problems before they escalate. The kind that protects without destroying. The kind that proves itself through action, not words. And when you possess that kind of strength, you don't need anyone to believe in you. You just need to be ready when the moment comes.